So, this is certainly the first video in a while I've done on my Favorite Character Angels horror franchise. And I just wanted to get into a few things on what's happening with the game, where did it go. Don't worry, I have not abandoned it. I promise you, I will never abandon this game. But it is currently being put to the side, and I will go into why in a second. But generally speaking, I have something much more important to announce at the end of this video. So stick around, and I hope you enjoy this little update video. With Be Not Afraid, during some of the initial progress that I showed, a little bit time after that, I began storyboarding because I basically had this. I said about the big revamp my game is going to get and how this is going to affect. For example, the video I remade the boss of my horror game. That was the last time I made something artistically different to the game. Following from that point onwards, I then went and created a whole kind of new concept for how the game was going to go. Because originally, I'm pretty sure I said this in that video, the game was, oh no, this was even back in redesigning my horror game completely. That video. Obviously, I had the whole change from, I don't want to just be picking up, the player shouldn't just be picking up items, building totems to kill this Sky from him. It should be more complex than that. It's a story game. There's a lot of lore that's going to be involved with it and the whole analog stuff as well. But then when I came to storyboarding that, which is probably the most important part, I realized how big this game is actually meant to be. And a few videos later, scanning through YouTube, as I'm sure most game developer YouTubers do, I came across a lot of videos saying, don't make a massive game as your first game. Originally, I didn't see the problem with this. And so now I've had to do a little bit of rethinking. So I'll just explain what's currently happening with Be Not Afraid. So as I said, the storyboard is halfway complete. I got the halfway. Halfway, I had 4 sections to the game. I'm pretty sure I've said this before. I had 4 sections to the game, and all of them had a different thing to do in it. And there were lots of different mechanics. But then my university course happened. We're currently doing a module called Design to Play. And in this module, we were learning about puzzles, which is why I made the how to create the best puzzles for your indie game video. But following on from that, we were then tasked with creating a new game. Now, this new game, originally, I was like, this is boring. This isn't anything that I want to do. Until I realized that in terms of my current skill set, it may be wise to go with the more simple game. Which, again, this isn't anything new. I'm not saying this is like, oh, I've discovered this. This is like, everyone says this. Everyone says this completely. But I think that realizing this for myself is probably the best learning experience I've had so far with game development. You really do have to learn yourself, in my opinion. But I'm quite lucky in the fact that I didn't spend 3 years making this game, release it, and realize it might not have been as good as if I made it in 10 years' time when I have all these skills. So that's currently where the progress of my original game idea. I will summarize again because I do waffle. My original game idea is on pause. That's where it's at currently. It's not going anywhere. I refuse to let it die because this is one of my favorite ideas I've ever had. And I really do want it to be produced in the future. Currently, it is not something I can produce within a reason, but especially if I want to reach my goal of having 2 to 3 games released by the end of this 3-year period. Now, as I just stated, there are a lot of things that have led to where I'm currently at now. A lot of this is massively contributed to the fact I've been watching pretty much, I think I've binge watched all of Thomas Brush's podcast videos with other game developers that have been successful. And watching all of them, including Thomas Brush himself, which I must say, he's one of my favorite game dev YouTubers out there. I think that what scares me the most about what all of them said is that whole 3 years, 1 to 3 years on one game. Now, there's another YouTuber who I'm sure everyone's aware of, 2-Star Games, the creator of Choo Choo Charles. Choo Choo Charles was made in Unreal Engine over the course of, I believe, 1 year. And that game made a fuckload of money, and it was great. I played it, brilliant game. And all of that was made by one person, which is exactly what I want to do. I do want to keep this as, singular as possible. I don't plan ever hiring people, but obviously that might change. But going back to what I was saying, this is what led to the stage I'm at now. University and basically other game dev YouTubers. In university, we have 3 models. One is called Professional Life Practice 2. We were doing a group project for that. That one, That one is not so much involved with this. That's a whole separate thing that I'm going to make a video on. But as for the other two, we have Design to Play, which I discussed in the puzzle video. That one has been unbelievably helpful in this whole process of just learning or having given the opportunity to do a task that created a game base. I will go into what this new game is. I'm very excited to announce it because this is the first time in my life I've had a feasible product to release. All my previous ideas, they're just not realistic for my current skill set. And then finally, you have environments and levels. As I'm sure you can tell, the last two videos I produced, the puzzle video is Design to Play, and the sci-fi environment one is my environments and levels module. Combining these two, I basically got what I have now, because doing these two tasks made me realize what I can currently do and what I could sell, and what is good enough to sell. And that's the most important thing currently for me, is actually having a game release, because I don't think I can call myself a game dev YouTuber until I have a game release. And I feel it's the same for a lot of people. It is now time to announce what I have actually been working on for the past, I believe 2 months since I last spoke about Be Not Afraid. I'm really excited. So this is it. My new game is called Project Tower. In this world, there is the unlimited source of energy, and it's been discovered by humanity. We now own unlimited energy, which you could argue is green energy, but this is a source of energy that can power the entire planet. But this entire energy source, there's only one existing way of producing it, or it could be reproduced, but they don't, has under the control of the top richest 1% of humanity. And those who wish to use it, i.e. the average person, must pay an extortionate amount of money for it. But because nobody can afford this, the remains of humanity are dying out. This is set in the future, by the way, hence all the futuristic shit. You, the player, are not actually a human. You are in control of a specialized virus created by the Resistance that has been sent in to infiltrate the skyscraper of wealth, renaming pending, and hack into the firewalls and take them down and redirect this unlimited energy to the rest of the city and to the rest of the world, repowering civilization. Now, with this game, I am currently, as I previously said, I'm in the production stage. The biggest problem with my previous idea is that I couldn't escape the design phase. With this game, I've taken a little bit of a different approach. I'm similar to what the person who made Jonas Tigermiller. His prototyping method is one of the most interesting and possibly the best ways to produce a good game. So after a bunch of different prototypes, I eventually came across a game with the basic mechanic of jump. Now, obviously, this mechanic is not just jumping. Obviously, that would be incredibly boring. But in order to... what the fuck? In order to ascend the levels, you have to jump onto certain platforms and activate them, because by doing that, for example, you are a virus, you inject a code into it that activates this wiring. And to do this is how you progress up the levels through the game. There are checkpoints so far. I've got a death system. I mean, I've got the very basics of the game all done. More additions will come later when I do polishing, and I am aiming to have 10 total levels in the game, and I want the game to hopefully last for about half an hour to about maybe half an hour to an hour. Seems reasonable. I also would like this game to be speed runnable, but it's not really the core aim of the game. This is a heavily story-based game with simplistic controls, so you're more completing the game to learn the story, and by doing that, the gameplay is not too difficult, because I want to attract players who are more interested in the story than learning new skills within the game. Although that will still be very important, because you cannot have a game without interesting gameplay, because otherwise you're just watching a movie. So far, out of the 10 levels that I aim to do, I have all 10 of them blocked out, and the mechanics and the general base of the game are all done. What I'm now focusing on is the production side of things, which is producing the assets, which I have a big headway on. I'm about 50% of the way completed with just all the assets. I've furnished to the tutorial stage, level 1 and 2. Tutorial is like level 0, so the game goes 0 to 9. At every 3 levels, you're introduced to a new mechanic. This will probably change, because I think there might not be enough mechanics in the game currently to make it incredibly interesting, but I think it's a really something, the way I've made it is that I can add on to it very easily. At every 3 levels, you learn a new mechanic that can take you forward within the game. And along the way, you will get obviously a bunch of cutscenes that will show you the storyline outside of the game or what's happening as you go up through the levels. It could be a case of you're powering down or causing disruption within the networks that control certain things that will affect the top 1%, the evil empire that controls all of this power. But the core meaning of this, the core reason I want to produce this game, rather than Be Not Afraid currently, even though it totally diverts from my style of generally horror, is I wanted to use this time in uni to explore games that aren't just horror. While I still am very interested in horror and I want it to be the main focus point of my career, I currently just feel this is the game that's going to work best for my current, as I said, my current skill set. And I think analysing what you're capable of and what you can market and produce is a lot more important than just trying to chase an idea and without knowing the full scope of what you're approaching. So as I've already said, Be Not Afraid is not going anywhere. I'm currently putting on pause while I focus on this game. There will probably be another game after this that will focus on horror, but it will going to be a lot more simpler before I think about going and moving on to Be Not Afraid. Because Be Not Afraid is going to be, I'm assuming, the biggest project of my life. And I don't want to rush that this early on. But I'm hoping you're all looking forward to the game. I'm aiming to get a trailer out relatively soon. I want to get at least level 5 furnished before I put a trailer out, because I think putting out a trailer without your game fully made, or at least, you know, the alpha made, isn't the best idea. But I did definitely want to announce it now, just so I wanted to update you guys on what's happening with Subter Studios, what am I developing, what is the next big thing. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I have not got a Steam page up for Project Tower yet, but it will be there eventually. Just for a release date, I'm aiming to release this by summer, so I've still got a good few months left of this, but I thought an early announcement can't hurt. And this is the unofficial announcement, because I can't imagine a video of updating a game devlog is going to be more popular than a trailer. Or maybe it is, maybe I'm wrong. But thank you very much for all your support. I've recently seen I got 6 subscribers yesterday, and I've never been more happier. That is not sarcastic at all. That does sound sarcastic. It's not sarcastic. Genuinely, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to actually releasing my first game and seeing what this experience will hold. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.